Hey guys, it's Violet from Two Dusty Diamonds, and today's video is going to be 11 strange things I did when I was a child, because I am still strange to this day, but when I was younger, I was like 50 times more strange than I am now, so I'd say I'd probably chilled out a lot. So the first one happened when I was just learning how to talk, and I called pine cones piles. I have no idea why, no recollection of this happening, but my mom and my dad have both confirmed that I called pine cones piles because that's what my brain came up with. And on the subject of nature, I was also afraid of worms. I loved all other bugs. Bugs were great. Bugs were my best friends. Hated worms. Could not stand them. They scared the crap out of me. So did plant roots, because they looked like worms. So you know those things where you get like the plastic container with all of the 6 little flowers in it, and you could pull them out and you could see all their roots are on the outside? Scared the shit out of me. I wouldn't go near them. I wouldn't touch them. If I knew a flower had grown from one of those things, I wouldn't like that flower because it scared me so bad for no reason at all. Number 3, I had a dog named Toby. He was this 90-pound chocolate lab, so pretty big dog. And when I was about 4, anytime he laid down to take a nap, I would dress him up. I would put a pillow underneath his head, I'd put a blanket over him, and I'd put one of my stuffed animals between his paws. And he had no issue with this. And I always had this Elmo stuffed animal that I would give him and put between his paws, so I started calling him Elmo. So even though his name was Toby, I called him Elmo for the longest time. Number 4, I used to be sad for people that drove old cars around. You know, you'll see people in those old vintage cars just crawling through town. I used to feel sorry for them because I thought they were too poor to buy new cars. I thought that their cars were so old and they didn't have any money to replace them, so they just got stuck driving the same old cars. And this continued. This wasn't just me as a child. This continued until up through 3rd grade, because I just didn't know, and I assumed these people were really, really poor. Number 5. I was actually dropped on my head as a child. I know it's obvious now, but it was Thanksgiving Day, and it was a little bit icy. So my dad was walking outside with me, and I had my little hat on, and as he slipped and he dropped me, and as I fell, my hood flew up over my head as well, which cushioned me more, but I was dropped on my head, and I got a concussion. Yeah, I guess we can see how that turned out. Number 6. I know I mentioned before that I love nature, but I really, really loved bugs. Worms, no way. Bugs were my best friends. One day I was out at Indian Creek Nature Center with my mom, and I was probably 2 or 3, and we'd been just hanging out, hiking in the woods. And so then she got me back in the car, put me back in my car seat, and we'd been driving for 5 minutes, and I randomly opened my hand, and I'm like, "Look, Mom, look what I brought," because I had brought a grasshopper with me. I had caught it somewhere out in the fields and just decided to keep him with me as my little pet. I don't actually know what happened to that grasshopper. I don't think he made it. Number 7. On the topic of grasshoppers, this one is a lot more recent, as some of you will remember. In 5th grade, I had this club. Well, I didn't start it, but I was in this club called the Bug Club. And I brought in this little, bug catcher thing, which had 2 sections to it and mesh sides, so you could observe animals. And we caught grasshoppers out at recess. And we kept them in there, and they were our pet grasshoppers, and we would go collecting more. And I lived near the school at the time, so I would go up there and put in bits of cucumber or lettuce and feed the grasshoppers that we were holding hostage. And this happened for all through the fall of 5th grade until it froze and everything died. But yeah, Bug Club definitely happened. Number 8. So when I was I'm jumping all around in times, but when I was in first grade, I was actually homeschooled, and that is odd enough, but because people who are homeschooled don't get the kind of social interaction that a lot of other people would have, like through school, there was this program called I Can Problem Solve, specifically designed for people being homeschooled. And it was basically, it would give you a situation, like, this girl pulls your hair, what do you do? And it's teaching you that, like, you don't pull her hair back, you, like, be nice to her. And I hated that thing. I hated it with a passion. My mom would, like, have me work on one of the worksheets, and she'd be like, okay, what are you gonna do? And I'd be like, I'm gonna rip her head off. Like, I said that a few times. I, like, threatened to rip these imaginary people's heads or arms off because I hated the problem so much. And eventually I would just, like, run away. Like, my mom pulled out the workbook, and I'm like, nope, bye-bye, getting out of here. And I would hide in my room until she quit. Because, like, I knew the answers. I knew that, like, okay, we don't rip people's heads off. But I didn't want to listen to the part of me that knew that. I would just... And that kind of played through. I guess I should have listened a bit more to that program, because... Number 9. So... when I was in 3rd grade, I would go out and I'd like at recess, I'd roughhouse with people, just like kind of wrestling, kind of just doing whatever. It was mostly with guys, just, I wouldn't know, I was a really rowdy kid. But one day, my teacher saw me out there, like in like this wrestling match or something with some kid. So afterwards, we came back inside after recess, and she pulls me out into the hallway, and she's like, why are you doing that? Why do you keep hurting these people? And, like, I wasn't hurting them. Like, we were friends, and they were fine with it. And she was just like, why do you keep doing this? And I, instead of, clarifying that we were friends or that it was just for play, I look the lady right in the eye, and I say, I like to hit people. I know. And because I told her that, her face went so red. I thought it was gonna, like, pop off her body and shoot into orbit with the force of the explosion. She was just freaking out that she had this little 3rd grader that liked to hit people. So she sent me to the office right away. And that was actually, like, that was the 2nd time I'd been to the office that year. So they, like, knew that I was, like, a habitual offender or something like that. So, yeah, that happened. Number 10. When I was really young, really young, probably like 4 or 5, my sister is 11 years older than I am. So when I was 5, she was 16. So she was going through her, like, moody teenage years, and I was being the bratty little kid. And one day, she had just annoyed the crap out of me. I'm sure she'd done something. I can't remember what. She was so annoying, I decided to barricade myself in my room. Now, normally, when you think barricade, you would imagine I'd, like, push my bed in front of the door, or push my chair in front of the door, or push something in front of the door. I didn't do that. I opened up the door, got, like, a blanket that I had, some books, assorted, like, toys that I had laying around the room, and I, like, piled them up in this pile to, like, try and keep her out. And it was just, like, in the middle of the doorway. So, like, it might have worked, except the pile was only about 8 inches tall. But I was really proud of my barricade, and I thought I was going to be able to keep her out, and, like, I thought it was, like, a super serious, like, this is how you deal with annoying siblings. You make 8-inch high barricades out of blankets. Number 11. I can't make an 11 with my hands. Number 11. I was, again, about 4 or 5, and my pantry has, like, 3 levels in it. 3, like, stairs, if you will. And I used to pull all of the cans and all of anything that was on the middle step, or I'd just empty the entire pantry. So I'd pull everything out of it and just set it on the floor out there. And I'd put in a blanket and spread it out inside the pantry, and I'd sit in there and close the door, and I'd just sit there, and that would be, like, my spot to hang out. One day I didn't pull everything out. I just pulled the stuff off of one shelf and went in, and I sat in there. And my parents were just used to this. They're like, okay, you know, she's just gonna climb in the pantry, whatever. So I went in there and there was this bag of like peanuts. I think it was peanuts. And they were like some sort of spiced peanuts. Like they had a flavoring on them. And I didn't like spicy food when I was younger. So I sat in there and I like found these peanuts and I just started eating them. And then my dad comes along and he opens the door and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I just look at him and I'm like, "I is eating these nuts." And at first he was like, didn't have much of an issue with it. And then he saw which ones I was eating and he like freaked out because like I normally didn't eat anything spicy. I wouldn't eat anything even remotely spicy until like 2nd or 3rd grade. And these were like these really spiced peanuts. I don't know why I ate them. I just decided to. And so now it's kind of a running joke in my family that I is eating these nuts. So that has been 11 strange things that I did or thought when I was a child. I still have yet to come up with an official outro. I should probably do that sometime. Bye!